Offensive coordinator Luke Getsy came out on Thursday and says the offense is going to look entirely different this upcoming Sunday against the Denver Broncos. And a lot of people are a little skeptical about it, considering the Bears offense is ranked 30th in the NFL at the moment. We are praying it turns around, though, as there are two guys that Larry and I think that we can get the job going. Today, I welcome special guest, WGN sports reporter Larry Hawley. Larry, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, man. It's great to be here. Hopefully we'll have maybe in the future a little something better to talk about when it comes to the Bears, but we'll see how it all works out.
I mean, these two guys that we're going to talk about today, I know that you gave me your answer, my answer. I think you hopefully will agree with, as he's one of the best players on offense right now. But before we get into that, Larry, I'm going to take you down memory lane a little bit here. Oh. And I want to, go back in history of think about all the Bears greats. And before we pick who is on the current roster to help bring this offense back to life, if there was one former Chicago Bears offensive player, it could be anybody, a lineman, running back, anyone that you would bring back, who would it be and why?
Wow, that's an interesting question. There's a lot of ways to think about that. Obviously, the first answer is Walter Payton, because I think Payton gave you so many versatile options. Yes, he was an incredible runner. He held the NFL rushing record for a while, but he was a heck of a receiver as well. If I'm not mistaken, and I might have to look back on this, he either has the Bears reception record or is right around there, or maybe Forte might have caught him, but he was a great receiver out of the back. He's some guy, obviously, and I think that answer is going to be pretty common among a lot of Bears fans, and that's to be kind of expected. Part of me, I was kind of just searching through and going through my head, would someone like a Mike Ditka, a good effective tight end, be somebody who could really come through for the Bears right now? Those are, you're trying to go through in my mind who would be there. Walter's probably the obvious choice and the biggest choice. There's other guys you could think of. You think of Jimbo Covert. Could the Bears really use one of those great tackles that they could have? One of those offensive linemen you can look to and say, hey, this guy is great. This is somebody you can always rely on. That's where I kind of would think, but it's hard not to pick Walter considering the versatility and, of course, the talent that he had on offense.
I think that definitely is the number one answer. And if anyone else thinks that it's anybody else, I think they're a little crazy, but I like how you went with Jimbo Covert. We've had him on the show before. We talked to him about what this Bears offensive line needs, and someone like him would be absolutely perfect right now. And I love Braxton Jones. I think he's a great player. I think he has a lot of upside and potential, but the Bears need that other side to be locked in at all times. And it looks like we have a good future with Darnell Wright. That's one more guy I wanted to hit on with you real quick, Larry, is talking about the future of this franchise in moving forward. How are you feeling about Darnell Wright out of the gate at right tackle?
Well, I mean, he's had his moments. I think both good and both are bad. I mean, it seems like a lot of the times he's able to hold his own. And again, this is a rookie on a team that is trying to figure itself out. This is an offense that's trying to figure itself out. Now, my assumption is that Wright is eventually going to go ahead and make his way over to the left. I think that's at some point, maybe he'll be there. Maybe they'll do something there. I think he's doing what he can do. Has anybody on the Bears been dominant so far? Not really, but I think he's done at least what he can. There are rookie moments. I believe he had when Jones had a sack last week. He was right there, and it was a tough moment for him. That's going to happen. You're a rookie tackle in the National Football League, and that's just part of it. But I like a little bit what he's seen. I think he's somebody who can develop. I think in college you definitely saw that he went up against the SEC's best, which I think is as good of an evaluation as you can get in college, and not only held his own but had success. I think it's going to be interesting to see how he progresses this year. If Braxton Jones' neck injury, do they decide to trot him over to the other side of the line? But for right now, he's holding his own. There are rookie moments, but I think he's doing well, and certainly bodes some optimism and, of course, some resurgence that, Poles using such a high pick for an offensive lineman that he's going to work out.
And I couldn't agree more. A lot of people after Jalen Carter's recent play were saying, man, we wish we took Carter over Wright. But Wright is doing all the quote-unquote right things and making good progression as a rookie right tackle, a position the Bears have struggled with for a long time, and who knows, could flip him over there. But that's not who you chose today as your person to help flip this offense. So, Larry, there's obviously a lot of options out there, a lot of guys with so much untapped potential in this offense. But who are you going with as your one person that single-handedly could help turn around this offense and start a spark?
Well, the first thing you think about, obviously, is Justin Fields. That I wanted to go with something else. I thought about maybe Khalil Herbert, and certainly would be good. I really think Chase Claypool reaching his potential could be something that could really change the dynamic of this Bears offense. I think number one, because it gives Justin Fields another option. It gives him somebody else to throw to, somebody who has the ability to be a dynamic pass catcher, just like a DJ Moore. I think Darnell Mooney is a very talented receiver. And I think that he has done and will continue to do some good things for the Bears. But I think Claypool, especially early in his career, showed that he has some of that big playmaking ability. He's a tall guy, big body. He can make those big plays. So far, really hasn't shown it. He hasn't shown it now for a little while as he kind of gets adjusted to the Bears. And obviously in Pittsburgh, that situation changed for him. So I think if he's able to develop himself and have some decent moments, there have been a little bit of flares here. He had a touchdown against the Bucs. There have been, maybe small signs last year that he might be able to pull that off. I think it would change because I think, first of all, it's going to take some of that pressure off of DJ Moore. Teams are going to have to respect him. And it's going to, force at least to give a little bit. Again, we're not talking about, opening up if you've got an ice field or like a solid brick of ice, which the Bears offense says this isn't going to tear it wide open, but it's going to put a crack. It's going to allow a few things to open up. Hey, all of a sudden DJ Moore doesn't have as much attention. They got to focus a little bit on Claypool. Oh, now Justin can go run. He can do that, which he does very effectively, as we saw last year. If you can have him on that side, you have DJ Moore on the other, all of a sudden these things kind of open up a little bit. So looking at the offense, and there are a lot of thoughts that went through my mind, do you look at, somebody improving or stepping up on the offensive line? Of course that could help, especially in the interior of that line, especially even at the center position where you could go with a number of options, or even the guards right now are in a little bit of flux with Nate Davis obviously dealing with a personal issue, along with the fact that Tevin Jenkins is still waiting to come off of the IR. So I think that really Chase Claypool really appeals to me as being somebody who can improve, because you see somebody who has shown his talent in the National Football League. Been a little bit since he's really shown that full potential. But if he found a way to do it, it certainly opens things up for the Bears in a number of equations. And I think most importantly, really opens it up for DJ Moore, who you could make a very good argument could be the most talented player that the Bears have on either side of the football.
I think that all those are super valid, and I couldn't agree more with the choice because Chase Claypool is so much untapped potential. 6'4", 238 pounds. On top of it, he runs below a 4.44 40 time, a 37-inch vertical. He can do it absolutely all. He's just an athlete that is, in the 1 percentile in all different areas. And also, back in Pittsburgh, when he was in a good situation, when he had Big Ben, when he had a different offensive coordinator than what he had before he left, 850 receiving yards and 9 touchdowns in your rookie season is very impressive in the NFL, especially in a stacked wide receiver room in Pittsburgh. The Bears went out last year and traded what ended up being the 32nd overall pick for Claypool. So there's a lot of pressure on him as well. And he didn't get the opportunity last year, came halfway through the season, couple, of injuries here and there. Hard to learn a playbook halfway through. This season, he has caught a touchdown, but he only has 4 receptions on 14 targets. So hopefully he starts to turn things around there. But Larry, for you, in regards to, you said how it takes the pressure off of DJ Moore. It opens up Fields to run a little bit more. Maybe his blocking ability, which we've seen highlights of this year, but we've also seen a few duds. What in all the different areas, whether it be the long game, the short game, medium game, or the red zone, where is Claypool going to be most important moving forward?
I still think that he can provide maybe the middle ground. If you want to look at it, I always kind of think of the middle. I think Darnell Mooney being a guy, in the slot can really get stuff done. I think Claypool's got to be that guy in that middle, that kind of maybe 10 to 15 yard range, somewhere in the 20s range where he can get those passes there. I think he'll play in you mentioned blocking, and he really had a rough game in that first game against the Packers. And I do wonder maybe for a little bit if the Bears didn't think about deactivating him, because Equanimeous St. Brown has been praised for his blocking even by Justin Fields during his news conferences. So I think that's important. For me, I think to me, it's a little bit, being getting stuff on the sidelines. I think also doing those 10 to 15 yard things. And maybe some might say that for Mooney. But again, I think one thing that could be in thinking about it are those physical catches, maybe going up and getting those jump balls, getting those, 15 to 20 yard receptions where the Bears are maybe at their own 35. Suddenly you're able to catch that. You cross midfield. You've got a little bit more to do that. A jump ball situation could even be something on the goal line. Those physical catches, those difficult catches that he can make, that with his frame allows him to be able to do that, something a little bit different. That's where I see him being. Maybe in some ways I think of him as being that tough catch guy. I'm not saying that Darnell can't do that or DJ can't do that, but I think Claypool could be a great tough catch guy. And if you can do that, it offers you options in a lot of different places. That could even be an end zone guy. And that's something that I think Bears could really use. You could use a guy who they can get down. Again, let's face it, they've got to kind of get down there first. And they've had a little bit of trouble making the way down there. But I think Claypool really making some of the difficult catches for me and maybe making them in that, 5 to 20 yard range would certainly be effective. And again, you're opening that up. And so maybe instead of, you're going here and getting 3 and out, you're able to get something. You're able to maybe move a little bit down the field. Then you can open up some stuff up for Fields, or you can take a shot downfield with DJ Moore, or you can let Moore do his work, because obviously we saw in the preseason how well he did with yards after catch on a few times. So there's all sorts of things there. But I think if Claypool can get some of those tough catches, especially in that 5 to 15, 20 yard range, I think it'd be really effective and really do a lot for the Bears offense.
I couldn't agree more. To open up the field, once you start moving the chains, you're able to expand the playbook. And Claypool can definitely do that. We saw it at Notre Dame. We saw it at Pittsburgh. And we've seen flashes of it here in Chicago. And one person that I think can also expand the playbook, and Larry, I want to hear your thoughts that I'm choosing, and I think also Claypool could help him out, is Roschon Johnson, the rookie out of Texas that we took this year. He is a blue-collar type player. A lot of people are reminded of a little bit of Matt Forte, a little bit of Thomas Jones with how he plays. And right now he's averaging 5.3 yards per carry. Very impressive with a depleted offensive line, running up the middle, looking really good. And he can do it all as well. He's fast. He has great vision, good run blocking, and he can catch. So, pass blocking. Sorry, he's running the ball. But he could probably block for himself too, because he's that talented. But he overall is doing a great job out of the gate. And I think he can be a very big threat for this team. I love Khalil Herbert. I think he's a great player as well. He's also averaging 4.7 yards per carry. The running back room is doing a great job just like last year, but the offense isn't on the field long enough. So Claypool helps open it up, but also Johnson's going to help open it up, because if you're going to have to protect the run, it's going to open up opportunities passing. Larry, how do you feel about Roschon Johnson so far? Do you think he could be RB1 for Chicago in the near future? Do you think he has a chance to be that spark? How do you feel about the rookie 3 weeks in?
Well, I think he certainly shows a toughness in the way he plays. And I know that may seem cliche, but he's able to get some of those difficult yards. And I think it's important to have somebody with the ability to do that. One reason why I always thought that the Bears, under Matt Nagy, I always thought it was kind of a mistake. I thought Jordan Howard had a place on the Bears, even though Nagy wanted to do more of getting stuff out there. I felt Howard did a great job of getting those difficult yards. He wasn't a super pass catcher, but I really thought that he did a good job of getting the tough yards that they needed to get in tough situations. Now, Johnson gives you a better pass catcher, along with somebody who's running very tough. I think the one good thing you saw out of the Green Bay game, I always do a going through the emotions here on WGN. And he was one of the 2 things I picked in the Packers game, along with Yannick Ngakoue having some good pressure, which he did in that game for a little bit, because Johnson ran the ball tough. He was getting difficult yardage. He was making catches. He was doing the things out of the backfield to get that difficult work done. And I think, he could be a number 1 running back. That could possibly happen, but a lot of times it's going to be in tandem. So I think not necessarily being maybe a running back 1, which he could be, but again, being part of that tandem, offering that toughness element, offering those difficult yards to get, that tough catch to get. Not that Khalil Herbert cannot do that, but Khalil's going to get a lot of those yards, those dynamic rushing plays. I think Roschon offers you that option. I think Roschon can be athletic, but from the way he's run so far, he seems to be able to be that guy that gets you those difficult yards. And we are talking about a Bears offense that's not picking them up in chunks yet. So that's really critical. I think Roschon Johnson is going to be one of those players who, if the Bears offense is going to turn around, is going to play a very major part, both in the rushing and I think in the receiving game as well.
Love it. And I've always been a big fan. You talked about Walter Payton doing it, being a running back that can catch the ball. Matt Forte was very effective at it too. Even honestly, Jordan Howard and David Montgomery, the Bears running backs are notoriously known for doing that. And he shows that. Khalil Herbert, he definitely does it too. But love that Roschon Johnson has picked it up pretty quickly out of the gate. So Larry, speaking of out of the gate, we are going to be at Murphy's Bleachers this upcoming Sunday, October 1st for the Bears versus Broncos game. I know that you got an event the night before. Do you want to tell everybody what you're doing for the Chicago Marathon?
Oh, yeah. So basically what I'm doing for the Chicago Marathon is I'm raising money for Run DV Out of Town. It's an organization that helps in the prevention and then also aids the victims of domestic violence. It's a very important organization. I have family who works for it. We're going to have just a private fundraiser that's going to happen on Saturday, but I wanted to let you know that there is a link on my Twitter account. That's Hawley Sports, Hawley Sports. That's all one word. You can donate, and any donation is appreciated. This is part of my running for the Chicago Marathon, a part of the entry. It's something that I'm passionate about raising awareness and funds for. So if you go to my Twitter account, you'll see a link there. You can donate. Any amount is great. $5. If you want to donate a bunch, I have a lot of fundraising to do. So if you can do that, that's Run DV Out of Town, wonderful organization, helps so many people. If you can contribute, I'd really appreciate it. It's on my Twitter account. It's at Hawley Sports, Hawley Sports, all one word.
And I'll make sure that I put that link in the description for you guys to find. And make sure that you go follow Larry on Twitter as well, as he covers all different Chicago sports. But Larry, thanks for coming on, man. Excited to see you this upcoming Sunday, as a lot of other people are going to be there as well. But thanks for coming on. Really appreciate your time.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Rohde, joined alongside Larry Hawley from WGN Sports, and we will see you guys next time.